We'll start the meeting. Agenda item number 1, is there any public participation? Hearing and seeing none.
Hi, I'm sorry. Yes, my name is Perry Pappas, and I'm the cross country and one of the track coaches at Wakefield High School. And I was just joining because I understand that you're having a conversation about potential facilities in the school. We're actually, hoping that, when there's consideration as far as the field house goes, that the track and field team is considered. Right now, we have 100 to 120 athletes that join the team between the boys and girls team every season. Coach Renoso and I, we coach the kids together. So, he'll take boys and girls sprinters and jumpers and throwers, and I'll take the distance kids. And, as it is now, the size of the field house, it does get very, very cramped to the point where a lot of times half of the group has to go outside. In certain days it's fine. And, the fact that we have the track right outside is nice. But when it gets to snow and when there's snow on the ground, it gets to become very, very challenging. And certainly we're limited when that happens. The lanes inside and the size of the facility right now is very small, and it doesn't really allow us to effectively train them the way we want to when we don't have a track outside. It leads to injuries, and, they can't run the pace that they really need to be effective. So we have to get creative, and it definitely limits us in a lot of ways. And so just figured I'd come on here and say my part as far as, what we're, hoping to see happen. I know that there's a lot that is involved in this, but definitely wanted to contribute what we see as far as where we're limited right now.
Where do you have to go to get an indoor track to actually run on?
To run on, well, we compete in Reggie Lewis and at Boston University. That's where our track meets are. As far as training, like I said, we do a majority of our training. Half the kids do train outside.
Winter long?
All winter, yes. Yep.
So you don't have an indoor track that you can train on?
No, there's 2 lanes around the basketball court. However, like I said, the turns are extremely tight. Really isn't really a track. It's not regulation in any way, not even close. So that, like I said, does limit us.
How many teams in your league or even in this area have an indoor track or an indoor facility to use, and what do you think that would do for your program?
There are 3, so Lexington, Woburn, and Reading, and it would be tremendous help as far as not only allowing us to train properly, but also have the space just to fit the kids inside the gym or the field house. So it would just go a long way as far as what we're allowed to do. We're pretty regimented as far as the type of training that we do with the drills and the workouts. And like I said, right now a lot of those things are fine outside. We can access the track outside when it is available, but when the really bad weather comes, it makes it really, really challenging, and we have to make do with what we have.
Do you guys snow blow the track when needed?
Clear it. Oftentimes I've used a push broom. But snow blowing with the blade would damage the track.
No, you got to go rubber blades. Yeah.
But they don't want us to touch the track with a shovel or anything like that. So,
no.
Yeah. They did plow the track last year when we had the fall 2 season. But that was, they did actually, there was some parts that some of the rubber did come up. So it's not something that I don't think that can be done on a regular basis.
Great. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Pappas.
you.
Thank you.
Robin Greenberg.
Hi, thank you. I hope the committee has received and been able to read my email to you this week and support my request for the site option 4 to remain as an option to be considered into PDP. I think that this has unique benefits, and it means that it warrants further study along with the other 3 sites selected. Benefits include the potential for a school building situated such that learning spaces can receive better solar orientation than the other options. The building would also have further distance from the current high school, which means that it would reduce the impact on learning during the construction period. In the end, there may be a reason why option 4 is not the preferred option, but for now, I would like to see that its needs are studied further and you consider it for further study. Thank you.
Robin, quick question. Were you on last week?
I was.
So you heard all the discussion. You saw how tight it was. You saw all the traffic issues.
Yes. I think that the design team can, with further study, they can further explore it. So, the benefits, I think, warranted being considered further, especially because of the solar orientation on the value of good quality daylight into learning spaces, the potential benefit to keep air conditioning needs lower, means that it should be, further. I understand there may be issues with soil, but it didn't sound like you'd done enough to be able to answer that, to say if that would be a reason to cancel it. So I think, the PDB process is meant to do that next level of study, and that's why I think it should be considered further. Did the committee receive the letter? I should check to see if.
I did not.
So it was sent to the town. It was sent to the committee's email address that's listed on the town's website. And then CC the project email address. So is there a better way for people to be able to send comments than not those email addresses?
Let me ask the question. Lynn? Shane?
Yeah, I just got it here. I didn't see it yesterday.
I didn't receive it.
So who checks? Who checks?
They haven't forwarded to us. I'll check my junk email, but.
Oh, okay. And when did you receive it, Shane? Just now?
Well, I just checked it now. I check it every day. I don't get a notification when there's emails in there. So I was sitting in the inbox.
So in my letter, I go into some additional comments, the benefits that the site has. So I request that
your main push is solar, right?
Solar orientation. So not to be confused with the additional benefit of solar voltaic and PV potential, but the solar orientation. As described on the slides, that it was considered option 4 as the better solar option.
It was, and I think that we did listen to that, but when you see how tight it is crammed onto that corner, as well as the disruption to the neighbors to the back, as well, I get the solar orientation. That certainly is an aspect that is better on Wakefield. I personally think that all the other things outweigh it to not be there.
Well, I mean, at this point, they're just blocks of, overall building size. So its shape and its distance can be further refined. There was discussion about how high you go. And so I think all of that would be answered potentially on if it's an issue. But the distance of a school on the baseball field, those neighbors are further than if you build on the track to the students that would be occupying it during the hours of construction. So I think you should think about that, if there's a way to reduce the impact to operations of the school.
Well, I can tell you that we built Galvin almost touching the old school, and there wasn't all that many issues. We're pretty used to doing that, but
I'm not saying it's not infeasible, but if you could avoid it, maybe it should be considered.
Jane, do you want to have that email forwarded to every member of the committee? Because that
Yep.
apparently.
I think we can take a look at that, Robin. We appreciate the email. We will take a look at it. Thank you.
Well, guys, don't make commitments. We're presenting this to the MSBA next Thursday.
I just said I'll take a look at it.
So to be added or to do something, we're at the 11th hour right now. So
I can look at it tonight if I get it. I'm
just
not making any commitments, Chip. I just said I'd take a look at it. If it
but we then have to
it.
put something in the works between now and next Thursday, and SMMA has to be able to do something with it. So let's just be careful.
All I'm asking is that the email be sent to everybody.
And that's what I'd like to take a look at. So thank you.
Chip, I can read you the email now. I mean, if I was trying to respect
the duration. No,
I
get it. I mean, I understand where you're coming from. We just have to take it into consideration and discuss it as a team and move forward.
That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Can I just ask, Robin, did you use the project website or the town website and send an email to the permanent building committee?
So I sent it to the permanent building committee's website, permanent building committee at Wakefield ... I sent it to info at Wakefield's Memorial High School project. I included the chairman of the school committee, Steve Mayo, and the town council chair.
Okay. Well, sorry we didn't get to see it.
And I didn't get any bounce back, so I assume that it all went through.
Well, they probably all went to those places.
Right. Well, sorry. Yeah. So we got to work on that better on our side on making sure that, there's a couple different levels of if someone misses it, someone else will at least have got the same thing, please. That, some duplicity would help us to make sure we get these communications just in case, so it doesn't happen again. It's unfortunate. Sorry, Robin.
And Robin, your background is you're an architect, right?
I am.
A working architect?
I am. I work for an architect. I'm a project manager for the Lowell High School project and MSBA ad reno.
Okay. All right. And you're also on a town committee too, aren't you?
I am. I sit on the Environmental Sustainability Committee, but this letter was not written as a representative of the committee. They did not.
Oh, but you're passionate about.
I am, exactly.
That
no,
world.
I just didn't. Yeah. I didn't want to mislead anyone thinking that it was a committee's formal collective decision.
No, appreciate that.
No problem.
Fair enough.
All right. Any other public participation? All right. The next item is the Wakefield Public Safety Building. There's some administrative actions. Jane, I made you co-host. Jason, wrong. I made you as well.
Good evening, everybody. Yes.
Yeah.
Are we doing high school or public safety?
Here we go.
There we go.
So the Wakefield Public Safety, we've got a couple of administrative actions. Going to talk a little bit about testing and inspection services, a schedule update, and then we have some other business not on here. It's we have to revisit some landscaping that we had left open a few meetings ago. So the first item was the review of the December 16th PBC meetings for the public safety building. They're attached to my email.
I move that we approve the December 16th meetings as written. I'll start again. I move that we accept the Thursday, December 16th meeting minutes as written.
I will second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Any opposition? Minutes are approved.
Thank you.
I move that we approve the January 13th meeting minutes as written.
I will second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none. All approved, or is there any objections? No objections. Minutes are approved.
Thank you. Second item is the review of invoices. I attached the invoices to my email today. It's 2 invoices. The first one is from Left Field, invoice 14 for $10,000.
I move that we approve Left Field's invoice number 14 dated 12/31/22 for the sum of $10,000.
I think the date's wrong. Should be 1/31/22.
Yes, I'll change that. It's
Okay, yeah.
automatic.
Fine. Yeah, I second it as of 1/31/22.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none. Jason,
Yep.
Tim,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
Janine,
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Unanimous. Thank you.
Second one was for the HKT Architects, in the amount of $7,657. So it was attached.
I move that we approve HKT Architects invoice number. Can you blow that back up again? Yeah, thanks. 12-022-023 dated 1/14 for the sum of $7,657.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Jason,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
Janine,
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Thank you.
Voices are approved.
Thank you. So we wanted to talk a little bit about testing and inspections. There's certain testing and inspections that are required by code, including soil compaction, concrete testing, steel inspections, and some masonry inspections. So we put together a request for proposals back in October, and went out to 3 firms to get proposals for that. We also included some other testing that's not required by code that may or may not be required, but we got unit rates for that also, should the need arise for those testing services. We got proposals back from 2 of those companies in November, John Turner Consulting and Briggs Engineering and Testing. I included with my email today the side-by-side comparison of the 2 proposals. We reviewed the non-technical or the non-price, the technical proposal, and we also reviewed the price proposals. So based on our review, we're recommending that Briggs Testing and Engineering be awarded the contract. We don't know what the value will be because we don't know exactly how many and when we're going to need tests. And for example, we may need a concrete inspector for 6 days, or we may need a concrete inspector for 10 days. So we use the unit rates that were included in the proposal to pay for those services. Based on our best estimates and guesses, we're recommending that we award it in a sum not to exceed $20,000.
Okay, and what's the budget? What's our line item budget?
We have a line item in the budget for $30,000 for testing and inspections. So I would recommend we award it not to exceed 20, and if we come close to that, we'll report back to you, and we can increase that value if we want to. But I don't think we need to tie up that whole 30,000 right now.
So we have 30,000 in the budget.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought we had 20. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I hear a motion.
I move that we accept Shane's request or Left Field's recommendation to award the testing to Briggs Testing and Engineering for the project.
I will second.
With an amount not to exceed $20,000 at this point.
Yep, second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Jason,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
Janine,
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. And we just wanted to update folks on the schedule. The schedule hasn't changed. We're still tracking with bond to begin on March 21st of this year. They've been gearing up. We've started the submittal process. So we're reviewing products, we're reviewing shop drawings, and we've met a couple of times to sort of update and go through those. but the plan is still to start on March 21st. I've just outlined the phasing schedule that you've all seen. We'll start that 3-story addition immediately in the front of the building, and we'll also start at the existing entrance and the new dispatch area on the first floor, currently the records room. And then following those phases, we'll move into the other phases. So as you can see, it's pretty extensive phase project, but we're ready to go. We're working with the public safety, fire and police department, and we're working with Bond to get ready to mobilize in March. So that has not changed. Any questions on that?
Any discussion on the schedule?
I brought it up the other day in the working group. I'll just bring it up again, the larger group. It's important we're changing the entrance to the station and how that gets advertised and signage and stuff in the papers or whatever. So I just want to make sure that, you know, I don't know what well, Galvin, I guess, was a different school, but in this project, you know, people are going to be coming in and out of this and emergencies and regular business, just how easy we make that access.
Yeah,
so just throwing it out as a comment, and I don't know what who's in charge of doing that, if that's Bond or the town, but just throwing it out there.
Yeah, in addition to what Phil just said, I definitely offered up my contact info for anybody that needs information regarding dates and project specific info. I'd be happy to help.
Sorry, you got some real feedback happening. I couldn't understand a word you said.
How about now? Is it better?
A little better.
That's saying I'll offer up my contact info for anybody that needs, dates and project specific info. I'd be happy to help.
Yeah, at some point, Dario, probably the middle to end of February, we should review some sort of plan and signage and what it's going to say and see a site plan and understand where signs are going and the logistics of all that.
Yeah, I can put together a proposed signage, temp signage package that we can review and reword for whatever we need to.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. And there's one item, it wasn't on the agenda. So Mr. Chair, I hope we can review it. We had talked some time ago about the landscaping and the trees at the front of the building. Bond did receive landscape quotes. We've awarded the landscaping, but we broke out the trees. We had 7 trees in front of the building. I think there was some concern about the amount of space to put those trees in, the maintenance of them, and what effect they could have on the public accessing and walking up and down the pavement. So we had the landscaper break that price out. It was $10,000 to do those 7 trees. We can add that back into the contract if that's the desire of the committee, but wanted to discuss that so we can maybe close this issue.
What's the type of tree spec?
Green pillar oak.
An oak?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're not very columnar. I'm a big proponent of trees, so I would think that if we wanted to take them out, we should put it as an alternate that once we see the space and if they can, once we see the addition on and once we see what that actual space is. But there's a lot of trees that are treescapes used for downtowns and by wires and stuff that are much more columnar lindens, stuff that could be better suited for that. I'm not sure that 7's the right amount, but I'm not sure a bare building is the right thing either.
Yep, I have a couple of these green pillars at one of my properties. They're pretty tall and skinny. They can grow if you don't take care of them, but like they're not a bushy tree, if I remember right. But the other ones you offered are the other ones you said too are very good for tight spaces too. I've seen a lot of those, the lindens or whatever the old pear trees. But yeah, so I don't know. It's something to consider. We got to have some greenery out front of this building. We can't have a masonry wall, but it's got to make sense for everyone. So
I agree with Chip, though. I think we should wait and see exactly how much land is there, and then we can determine what the best vegetation to put in at the time is. So
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
What's currently on the left-hand side of the building that has like dots on it? Is that asphalt, or is that?
This is grass, Janine, and then there's some low shrubs in this hatched area here at the front.
So on that left corner, can that support a taller tree? Looks like there's a fair amount of land there if you want to.
Right here.
That's not going to be, because I know that the chief had mentioned being close to the windows and in the way, scraping against the windows. I think he mentioned it last time.
Right.
We talked about but I think on that corner there, it would not be interfering as much. It's just an idea.
Yeah. Like I think as Chip said, I think let's see how it looks at the end when it's there, and then we can get some really good ideas and do as we say. Let's just not have a masonry front here. Let's get
so what I would suggest in that case is maybe we have bond carry the $10,000 as an allowance. They don't award. They don't sign up the landscaper to install these 7 trees, but we carry an allowance of the 10,000, and we can make a decision sometime later.
Yes.
Good idea.
That's it.
Okay.
Is that the right terminology? Create an allowance?
Yes.
Yeah. Does it work for you, Dario?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this is going to be the last thing that gets done, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as we have it in the works by, I'd say, November, and start tagging trees rather. That way we can fall in the same planting season and fall in line with the schedule. I just took a look, but I would say.
Yeah, I mean, once you get the front facade done and the sidewalks done, we can look at landscaping. So it should be well before that.
Be well ahead of.
Better be well before that.
Oh,
anyway.
trust me, it will.
We're holding you that there.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, it's something right. So.
Anything else, Shane, on the public safety building?
That's it. Thank you.
Chief Scory, do you have anything tonight?
No, but we're just we're getting closer to the shovel hitting the ground, so we're making our plans.
Making sure how nervous you are. That's all. That's all. Gonna make we're gonna calm you down.
I'm getting a little nervous. I'm not gonna
all right.
lie to you. Getting a little.
All right. Anybody else have any other issues discussion regarding the public safety building? Thank you very much. Thanks. Let's move on to the high school.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, Dario.
Thank you, Dario. So the high school, just the agenda tonight. Again, we have some meeting minutes to review. We've got some invoices. We're going to review the preliminary design program submission to MSBA. Just got a budget update, a schedule update, a list of upcoming meetings, and then we wanted to review a consultant change request that Left Field are proposing. So the first item of business is the review of the December 16th building committee meeting.
I move that we approve the December 16th building meeting minutes.
I second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Are there any objections to the minutes? Minutes are approved.
I move that we approve the January 13th meeting minutes for the public high school as written.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Are there any objections to the minutes being approved? Hearing none. Minutes are approved.
Thank you. Second item was the review of invoices. So we did have a change to the draft I sent out here. The one I'd sent out on Tuesday afternoon just had the Left Field invoice. We did get an invoice yesterday from SMMA, so I've included that here tonight. I've reviewed the invoice for SMMA's scope, which is in line with their cash flow projection. They're going to bill a consistent amount every month, and also their consultants for the environmental and site, which includes survey work, traffic study, and some of the wetland survey work also. So I've reviewed that. And I recommend approval of that one. But we can start on the left field one first.
So should this date is though 12/31?
Yeah, that's our December invoice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is left field's work through December 31st as well?
Correct. Yeah.
Not left fields, excuse me, SMMAs.
It is, yeah, December 24th, I think.
Okay,
Is,
so
yeah.
both of them are through December. Good.
So it's, yeah, up to
Yeah,
December.
okay.
December's invoices, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. I move that we approve left field's invoice number 8, dated 12/31/21, the sum of $22,000.
I second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Jason?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Chip?
Yes.
Janine?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Invoice is approved.
Do we do SMMAs as one or individually?
We can do it as one chip. I just break it out because of the
And then
MSBA codes, but we can
Okay,
just do it as one. It's one invoice.
So I move that we approve invoice number 56308 for A&E feasibility study, dated 1/25/22 for SMMA, along with their environmental and site invoice 56308 1/25/22 for a total. The first one, the feasibility study, $71,500. The environmental and site, $59,899.95. For a total of $131,399.95.
I will second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Jason?
Yep.
Tim?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Chip?
Yes.
Janine?
Yes.
And Mark?
Yes.
Thank you. Second item tonight is the review of the PDP. We are required to get a vote of the building committee to submit that to MSBA. I've just included, we did review this at the start of the process, the contents of the preliminary design program. These sections have been forwarded to the committee for review. There was some drafts sent on January 13th, and there were some sections sent out yesterday also. So we can certainly go through it, or we can just open it up to discussion, Joe.
So is the final report sent to us yet?
So you've gotten it in sections, Chip.
But have we gotten the final that's being presented? All one lump sum, one piece, final, no drafts on them, final presentation?
You haven't gotten that, no.
Okay, so my discussion is, without us getting that, it's difficult to have this discussion unless there's parts you want to bring up. I mean, I think we need to look at it, we need to see it, and then we need to approve it. Joe?
Yeah, when are we going to get the final one lump sum? Here it is.
Can all be assembled and sent end of day tomorrow or first thing Monday. Because of the size of it and the PDFing and the bookmarking, it does take some time to assemble everything. But you do have all of the constituent parts at this point. We don't anticipate any major content changes. However, we also need to review it again. Last look for typos, right. Inconsistencies. So we're still doing that piece too.
All right, so you haven't done that yet?
We're doing it section by section, but I want to take one final spin through the whole thing, make sure it all holds together.
Like this first page, what is this showing?
So this is showing pieces of the table of contents. So again, the 3.1.1 and 2, you have received those back on the 13th. Content-wise, I don't think much in here has changed.
But I'm looking at the modular 3 feasibility study dated January 2015.
Oh, those are the guidelines from the MSBA. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's the playbook.
Okay. I don't know, Joe. I'm not until, I guess we've had pieces, but everything was draft and we still have to add this and add that. I'd like to see it in one final form before I feel comfortable in approving it.
How do other people feel about it?
Yeah, I'd like to see it in its entirety. I don't necessarily want to look piecemeal and things that are going to change from draft to final. And I mean, just let me see the final version and I'll read through it.
Anybody else?
I agree with that. There are sections, you know, that are just highlighted in the documents that I'm looking through right now that I've printed out. So there is missing information for what we would be approving tonight.
Okay, so that's what we thought, and that's why you might have noticed, got an email indicating that we were going to have another meeting next week because this has to be approved and sent to the MSBA on Thursday. Is that correct, Shane?
That's our schedule. Yeah, it's not a hard date, but that was our schedule to get it in on the 3rd.
Okay.
And what does it do to our schedule if we don't get it in on the 3rd? And we get it in on the 4th?
It's not going to move the dial much. This, as I said, this submission, it doesn't have a hard date. And moving forward into PSR, there is a hard date because we need to go to the MSBA board, and schematic has a hard date because we need to go to the board. If this is a day late, it's not going to affect the schedule.
So
you also have to give MSBA notice of delay.
I'll let them know.
And I guess the question I have is, it sounded to me like we weren't going to get the final form until Monday.
Ellen, is that right?
That would allow us time to assemble it. I mean, from our point of view, we wanted to make sure you saw the content, which is why it's come to you piecemeal. So, you know, if you're comfortable with the content, meaning the options, the costs, the space summary, the ed plan, the big pieces, you know, that's something to throw into the mix here. This report is a reflection of the process, right? So, you know, I don't know how deeply you all like to review reports. This is a big report. So if that is the way this committee likes to operate, then yes, we should get you the whole thing.
Well, it's up to you. That seems to be what people want.
Okay.
I had a quick question, if I can ask, on the alternative. I thought at our last meeting, and my notes could have been incomplete, that we were just doing options 1, 2A, and 3B as what we were presenting. But maybe, did other people have different notes on that? Why? I was surprised to see that we had 4s in there and a couple 3s. Like,
we have to show. Yeah, if we have to show all of the alternatives to the MSBA. And again, it's a documentation of the process showing how the 11 get narrowed down to the 3.
No, but no, it's not the 11. It's before, it's in the report. There's like, you do, you know, you pull out option 1, discuss the things, put a little budget project estimate, and you go. But if you read through it, there's 4A and 4, there's a couple 4s in there. And then at the end, it has our green and red graph we worked on at the last meeting. But this is before that, where it looked like there was more than 3. So I just didn't know if my notes were wrong and we decided we were going to submit a 4, or.
But that section concludes then, Philip, with we recommend for further evaluation option 1, option 2A, and option 3B.
But why show 4? Like, we didn't show any of the other ones we're not recommending. So I guess my question is why do we have 4? Like, we didn't put 2B in there, or we didn't put.
They're all in there. No, they are all in there. All 11 are in there and described in detail.
Some of them are described under the same narrative, Philip.
Right.
So I think,
I'll have to, okay,
yeah.
sorry.
So if you look at the heading, I think 3B and 3C were described under the same narrative.
Okay, I must have missed some of that in my review. I'm sorry. It was sticking out and I had a question to ask it. So I'll look at it again. Thanks.
All right, Helen, if this is going to be ready in final form on Monday and sent to everybody, is that correct?
Can be, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
What are people's feelings about when they would be able to vote on it? Obviously not Monday night. That's asking a little too much. Would people be able, do you think, to vote on Tuesday night?
I'm okay with Tuesday night.
Yeah, I'm okay with Tuesday.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody have a problem with Tuesday? We'll meet at 7 o'clock at Tuesday night. And Shane canceled the Monday.
Yeah.
And we'll meet for the voting on the PDP at 7 o'clock on Tuesday night.
Can I just ask one question that might throw a wrench in all of this? Are we going
I already got everything ready going for this, and you're going to throw a wrench in. Go right ahead.
Well, we had a presentation from the public today that said we should rethink about adding a 4 to the PDP. Do we as a group feel that her same passion, and do we think we should do that? Or Helen, you want to address even the possibility of doing that at this point?
Can I ask, she mentioned the solar orientation. I was under the impression that the solar orientation was still very good for on Beasley Field. It's still facing east. Maybe I'm missing the terminology of, it seemed like it's a pretty good, I don't know what the presentation said the other night, but I thought that orientation was still very good also. Am I mistaken there?
Robin is you're still with us in the meeting. Robin, do you have anything to add there?
I actually would ask that you talk to your design team because they certainly know the building and the site better, but based on the slides, they acknowledge that the baseball field was better than the track, because the track is probably getting its daylight blocked in the morning because of the Breakheart reservation trees. So I wasn't intending to say that you don't have some solar orientation, but it's better at the baseball field, and that further study would document if that truly is the case as the building laid out, with the focus on learning spaces, as opposed to like the auditorium where daylight's not important. You know, there's a lot of unknowns that you guys acknowledge would be further discussed as the building kind of took a real shape and layout.
Yeah, I have the matrix pulled up on my screen. We did color green for solar orientation. And again, this is how the building fits on the allotted site area. And so, you know, Walshfield does provide for a little more freedom with how you orient the classroom bars. So I think that's part of also what Robin is reacting to. It's up to you to discuss and decide if you want to keep a 4 in the mix. At this moment, we're not detailing any of these options more than what you've seen in what we've provided to you, just site plans. But again, this is about your process, right? So if it's something that you do want to consider, I would suggest that you document it in this meeting so that it informs any change that we might make to a recommendation going into PSR.
So I have a question. So if we put a 4 back in, it doesn't commit us to going with a 4, but if we don't put the 4 back in, does that basically end 4 right now?
Pretty much.
Yeah, so I mean, it might not hurt to put 4 back in, just so, I mean, I know Chip, you had mentioned boring down and doing some more testing to see what the wetland situation was under the field. You felt there was probably some additional water issues. I don't know if we'll get that far, but I don't think it necessarily hurts to put 4 back in now, just as so we can evaluate.
I also struggled with the whole roadway drop off.
I wasn't thrilled with that either. Yeah,
and the bridging over to the I agree. It just really, as I studied it, it just didn't feel good to me in that spot, and I just don't, as much as I appreciate Robin's comments, and I you know, that's why there's a process and a debate and a discussion. I think the Beasley option is a much better option, and to waste time.
Well, we just heard that
resources, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Jonathan, you raise your hand.
Thank you. No, you know, I mean, I've struggled with this a little bit too. I mean, I'm inclined to agree with Chip that sort of from my personal preference, I think that the Beasley Oval option does fit better on the site. You know, with that being said, you know, we've made enormous progress to kind of whittle down from 11 options to 3. If we whittle down from 11 to 4, I don't think we're throwing that big of a monkey wrench in the process. And if there's still some question in the mind of members of the committee, I just don't see a lot. I don't see really any harm to kind of keeping one of the option 4s in the mix for evaluation before we get to the PSR submission.
I personally, I think we spent 2.5 hours on it the last time, and there was pretty much consensus at that time not to go to the 4. So that's my gut feeling. Anybody else?
Yeah, just a quick, being a non-voting member, I'm just wondering how much of a factor does solar orientation have in the whole mix of making the decision of adding another possible building in? There's a lot of minuses to putting it on Walsh Field. And I think we hashed it out pretty well at our last meeting. So is the weight of solar, I mean, how much is the weight of solar? We're trying to do the best we can to save energy and put this on the best possible place we can.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point, Wayne.
Is solar a 1? Is solar a 5? Is it a 10? You know, how much times the site issues and the minuses of that location? I just stick with what we did the last time, and thank you for that input. But we just can't keep adding things back in. We've got to make some solid decisions here, and the meter's running.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, when push comes to shove, I just looked at the plans again, and I'm not going to change my mind from Beasley Field to go back to 4. I don't want anyone to be discouraged, but you know, I'm sticking with what we decided last time we met, and I like the 3 options that we picked better than 4, regardless of solar orientation.
Well, don't include 1 in that.
No, I'm not. But you know, the 2 that we liked on Beasley Field.
Correct. I'm only kidding.
Those are the ones that we like the best, and I still like them the best.
Anybody else have any comments?
Yeah, there's 3 hands up, Joe. Tim, Janine, and John.
Well, hi, this is Tim. What is the negative impact at this point if we do add the 4th option back in from a financial standpoint and from a timing standpoint?
Shane or Helen? Can you answer that?
It shouldn't affect our schedule. You know, we still have as I said, the PSR needs to be submitted. I don't remember the date. In April is a hard submission date to make that board meeting. So it's just it's more work in the same amount of time. But you know, we still meet the schedule.
I would also add, you know, we do have proposals for more geotech. It would just be spreading some of that geotech work across the 2 sites. So it's a little bit of a diversion of resources, if you will, both from a investigative standpoint and a design time standpoint. But you know,
but even at this point in time, if we just add it back on to possibly discuss later, just to not cross it off, that doesn't necessarily mean we have to spend any money or do any geotesting, but it does give us the opportunity to do so if for some reason we changed our minds down the road.
But Tim,
So-
I guess I go to what more discussion could there be? I mean, we spent 2.5 hours on it last time, getting to, you know, the 2 and 3 that we all seem to be real comfortable about. And we talked a lot about solar orientation and solar in the classrooms. And because the architect, and I'm drawing a blank on his name, was very passionate about that. But, you know, he did come back to, we can work on it with 3 as well. So, you know, I think we vetted it pretty well.
John, you had your hand raised?
Yeah, thanks. I agree with, I think, you know, Wayne and Chip and Jason here. You know, we did hash all this out, and looking at the way we scored this stuff, if you go look at that matrix we put together, you know, I feel like 4 really had the most kind of negative colors on there. If you look at the yellows and the reds that we put on, and we spent at least 2.5 hours that night discussing all that. You know, all valid points that it brought up, but you know, like Chip just said, we heard that there's other ways that we can add, you know, the solar orientation advantages to the other buildings. And I think people that went on tours yesterday saw some of the ways that they talked about that on the tours of, you know, the way that windows can be set up and ceilings are can be sloped to help light come in. So I think there's all different ways we can deal with that. But the negative sides of the Walsh Field, I think, were, you know, stronger to not change what we, you know, spent all that time going through and elongating this process even more, and possibly having costs go to something that nobody was really, for the most part, in favor of when we finished our discussion. So I think I'm in favor of the 3 that we landed on as the moving forward.
Janine?
Yeah, actually, I think Tim and Chip kind of hit what I was going to say. Is I think we really can focus on solar orientation on 3, on the site 3, because I don't think it's that dramatically different. And I think in many ways it's actually could be even better. It's further from some of those trees that would then possibly be blocking the solar. So we might have rated it slightly different, but I think it's still a very good position for solar orientation possibilities. So I'm very much in favor of sticking with what we've come up with.
Okay. Tim, did you have something else?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Joe, if I may, this is Brian Black. Hi. In terms of the solar orientation factor, you know, I think the last meeting was extremely productive, and there was a lot of good discussion. It meant that we didn't really have to drill down to this item and really put a weight on it relative to the other items. I would say that it is less impactful than things like whether the building fits well on the site and you have space to maneuver it, or the overall access issue to the site, which I think those are 2 of the bigger elements, not discounting any potential investigation that would still be needed, geotechnical and otherwise. I think that the solar orientation issue is a slightly better condition on Walsh, only because you can orient the building a little bit more east to west, where on Beasley Oval, we're orienting the building very much north to south. Now, having said that, we haven't settled on exact locations of program within the building. That will happen in the next stage, and we can use what we know about better solar orientation to inform how we lay out the building interior space at that point. When we looked at this and did the grading, I would say there was a slight difference between yellow and green. The building on Walsh Field still has to be a little bit more squarish. It's not fully east-west oriented. It's a little bit more of a square. So hopefully that helps a little bit to put this in context with the other items that have been discussed quite thoroughly. If not, I'm happy to go into it a little further.
All right, anybody else on the possibility of adding the 4s? or A4?
I'll just add on, I agree that we should just keep the 3 we chose at our last meeting.
I think the consensus is to keep the 3. I don't think we need to vote on it. Unless someone else disagrees with my analysis here. But I don't see the need at this stage to vote on this. So seeing that, once again, we'll meet Tuesday night. Ellen will get the final version of this. People will have a chance to read it. Even if we just had a chance to read some of it, I took a quick look at it yesterday, but I didn't have a chance today to do it at all. So, I mean, we will then vote on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock.
Joe, this is John. I'll be a little late on Tuesday night. My other volunteer duty of WBA coach, my practice ends at 7, so I'll be here after that.
Oh, well, now wait a minute here.
I can't let the 3rd and 4th graders hang, right? I gotta go.
Are they shooting the 3s well or not? I don't know.
Oh yeah, we need to practice. That's why.
Yeah, you got to practice. Okay, all right. I understand that.
So I'll be on as soon as I can.
All right, it's okay, John. Everybody else okay with Tuesday night? There any other athletic conflicts here? Okay.
All right, so I'd included as well in what I sent out the standard letter that MSBA requires that we submit with this. So if we vote on Tuesday, Joe, I'll just coordinate with you or the folks that need to sign it, the town administrator, the superintendent, and the chair of the school committee.
Right.
MSBA do need, unfortunately, wet signatures. So it may be that I email this and I can come up and pick it up on Wednesday or Thursday when it's ready, so we can get that submitted.
Right. You don't need anything from me, but you need it from them, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And on town letterhead. So I'll send that out after the vote.
Hey, Joe.
Doug?
We have a meeting Tuesday night. I have a meeting that I need to attend. But I feel good about the vote that's going to be made. So is it okay? Do you need me there?
No. If you have a chance to review it, and if you have any issues, please let us know.
Will do.
Okay.
Thank you.
And if if you want us to vote no, let us know as well. Okay. And if you do, you're in serious trouble. So anyway, all right.
Thank you.
Okay. Next thing, Shane.
Yeah, so just a budget update. That's hard to see. There's been no change to the budget. I just updated it based on the invoices that we reviewed and approved last month.
Can you make that bigger?
I'm just putting it up now, Joe.
Just get stronger glasses, Joe.
Age does, ocular degeneration, I believe that's what it is. Whoops.
Here we go. Yeah.
There we go.
There.
All right.
Thank you.
So just same budget. We revised it back in September after we signed the architect's agreement. We're still tracking on budget. We just revised the line item amounts. To date, we've spent just over $313,000, represents about 16% of the allocated budget. We got just under 1.7 million to spend. Nothing to change or report on any changes to that.
All right, thank you. Any questions or anything on the budget? Okay, next.
Okay, just the schedule. Some of the milestones. So we had targeted February 3rd to submit to MSBA. So it looks like that may be February 4th or 5th. I'll let MSBA know that we're a couple of days behind tomorrow.
Shane, I don't think you need to now. If we vote Tuesday night.
Tuesday.
Well, it's going to take, Helen, you'll need some time to put it together. We have to go and get the documents. So we'll see. I'll let them know it's coming Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday.
And is there a hard copy going to be given to the town?
Yeah, we said MSBA get one hard copy. We're going to give 2 to the town, one that can be kept at the school and one that can be kept at town hall.
All right.
Yeah. Then we move straight into the PSR. As I said, the PSR submission is an MSBA deadline. It's May 4th. We need to submit by that date to make that board of directors meeting. And after that, we'll start schematic design again. That's going to be a hard submission date of October 27th to make the board meeting on December 21st, 22. Just included the linear schedule here, which shows that we've been moving forward. We're somewhere around here. This is the PDP submission date. We'll move straight into preferred schematic, move through that schematic design at the end of the year, and town votes early in 2013.
Can I ask a quick question about procedure right now and schedule? At what point, and I guess this is probably to Brian and Helen as much as anybody, at what point do we really start seeing classroom layout, take the educational plan and make sure we have a classroom or a space for it all, make sure that every sports team is being accounted for, all of the work that has been done? We're now in big blocks. Is it from now to the conclusion of PSR that we not totally schematic, but get a lot closer to schematic design?
Well, schematic design is more developed, and that's the deadline that's in October. But PSR, yes, you're really going to start to see spaces in the plans.
So when we say that there needs to be, so when we say there needs to be 5 English classrooms and they're going to be next to history classrooms,
yes,
we're going to start seeing that.
Yes, the plans will really be developed.
Has anybody seen any of that to date?
No, we are working in large blocks right now to get the building fit onto the various sites.
Okay, and at this point, when the PDP has the educational plan in it, right?
Correct. Yep.
And do we feel that that's complete at this point, or does that still get massaged a little bit through the next process?
So Doug and Amy have done a great job of getting the ed plan together. The only thing that might change the ed plan is comments we'll get back from the MSBA on the PDP, because the ed plan needs to inform the space summary. So if they give pushback on some of the things that the district says it needs, that might have an effect. But otherwise, it's in good shape and it should be informing the design.
Ellen, when is the space summary set in stone? I mean, the requirements for certain spaces, because I had a phone call regarding a certain space, and when is that set in stone that we're going to need X amount of space for this, X amount of space for that?
Through the PSR process, that's when it's, well, first of all, again, we're going to get feedback on this submittal from the MSBA. They have, is it 10 days, no, 14 days, Shane, to review and give us comments that we need to formally respond to. So we're going to get a good sense of where they stand with respect to what the district is wanting to do. But yes, it'll continue to evolve
until schematic design, though.
Right.
But,
so
if we want to do something that is more than what the MSBA allows, that's where the issue comes in, right? In other words, we want to have this space, like the field house, bigger. Maybe some other space bigger than what the MSBA
allows. Or a black box along with a theater.
Right, whatever.
Or 5 English classrooms and they think that we only need 4. What's the process to discuss that?
So they'll review initially the PDP and they'll send comments back and we'll respond to them and probably meet with them, discuss their comments, right? We don't know what the comments are going to be, but I do suspect they're going to say, hey, you're over in this, why? May need some more information as to why. As Helen said, that may require, some edits the educational plan and may require some changes to the space summary. And we'll continue through PSR with our options, again, going back and forth with MSBA, telling them what our wants and needs are, and into schematic design. So it's an evolving process. The final scope is not set until the end of schematic. So we do have opportunities to change things. You know, the further we go, the less and less opportunity we have, but we do have the opportunity to change things based on the district's needs, based on MSBA's requirements, right through to the end of schematic.
But if we want a certain thing that is not, you know, that is bigger than the MSBA allows, we can still do it, right?
Not necessarily.
Well, yeah, it depends on what that is, Joe. So,
Joe,
you know,
I've heard that there are times when the town says, you know, let's take the field house. We want a 30,000 square foot field house, and they could say, you're not going to get it. We just can't say, well, screw you guys, we're going to do it. They could pull the funding.
On the whole thing?
Yeah. You got to work with them. You got to negotiate with them.
I think I've heard that too. Hey, I don't want to throw a curve in anything. I want to thank Shane for the tours we did yesterday. Winchester, Belmont, and Somerville. Can we fit a pool in like Belmont has someplace? No, just
all right, Wayne, you're not going swimming here.
quick, just on a more serious side, Belmont doesn't use any natural gas. They use geothermal. They've got like 280 wells geothermal. Now, is that a consideration for Wakefield, or I know we're going to try to go all electric, but just throwing it out there, not a solar orientation question, but this is certainly a long-term question. I know it. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
To be looked at in the future,
yeah,
along with as the building progresses.
Elizabeth Martin, you have your hand up, Liz.
I was muted. Just a really specific question on the initial space summary that was sent out, I believe, in yesterday's attachments. That had some calcs on sort of categories of rooms for proposed, and then difference with the MSBA guidelines. Is that just a template, or is that based off of our options? Because I just was not following it, and it doesn't necessarily need to get into the weeds here, but I guess I'd like an explanation of that spreadsheet.
So yes, it's a template.
Okay.
And what was provided to you was any of the new building options plugged into that template. So that the columns B, C, and D, I think it is, enumerate what spaces you have, the sizes of them. And then if you, and for an ad reno scheme, the next few columns will be filled out. And then further over to the right is what is being requested and required by the ed plan. So that's what calculates the new building.
So in the final draft that we'll get on Monday, we'll have that space summary for the 3 options, or no? That'll be at a later stage.
No, because right now all we're looking at for options are the renovate for code only. So that's just no new square footage.
Yep.
An all new building, and then an add reno option. And yes, there is another tab that we need to print for you as part of the next report. So yes, there'll be 2 space summaries that show an ad reno scheme and a all new building scheme.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That template, Liz, the MSBA guidelines, that's driven by the design enrollment. So as Helen said, on the right hand side, when you plug in your design enroll at 1,000 in Wakefield's case, it automatically calculates a lot of that side to show the MSBA guideline.
Okay.
Joe, if Doug Lyons is still on, Doug, can you confirm that the ed plan that they're presenting is you're comfortable with? Have you had a chance to review that yet?
I have reviewed the ed plan, and I'm comfortable with that. I'm looking forward to seeing it kind of formatted as part of the larger document, but I'm thinking it's going to work well.
Thanks. And your teams looked at it and vetted it? We've
had, you know, probably 12 people working on it, Chip, or have contributed to it.
Great.
And Helen can speak to the state of it. Your thoughts, Helen, at this point?
Yeah, the ed plan was written by the district with very little input from us. Questions asked, some back and forth. No, they know what they want. They know how to describe it, and that's what's included in the report. So it's very much the district's document.
Perfect. So Helen, as we move forward, I want to make sure that we use that as our template for design.
And guess what? The MSBA checks against it as well, because they want their project that they're contributing to respond to the educational needs. So perfect. Yes, that's very much part of the process.
Yeah.
At this point, Chip, I think we are looking forward to the submission and also the feedback from MSBA on what we've written. And that includes the space summary.
Yeah. Doug, I don't know if you were on right at the beginning, but your track coach spoke well at the beginning with the public comment.
I was. Perry Pappas is
okay.
He's again coach of the year this year in the state for track and field. We have one of the largest track and field programs, the largest in the Middlesex League, and you know it's the success that we're having in that space by and large is because of Perry. So we appreciate his advocacy, and I heard him earlier, Chip. Yes.
Okay. Good.
Any other questions or comments regarding the feasibility study schedule? Okay.
Yeah. So just I'd sent out again, this is just sort of our tracking of the upcoming meetings through PDP. So I'll cancel Monday's meeting. We will meet again on Tuesday, submit to MSBA next week. And then moving into PSR. These are the meetings we're tracking. Again, we'll continue to meet every other week on the high school. I've put in some tentative agenda items here. They're certainly subject to change based on where we are, based on anything you guys would like to see if it's not included here, and based on the progress. So moving into PSR, continue to meet every other week. We do have a couple of public forums included in there to present the project to the public also before we get to the end of PSR. So
when do we get the comments back from MSBA on the PDP?
As Helen said, it's actually 21 days they have to review it. So they've been using all 21 days to review it now. So if we submit on the 3rd, we can expect them back sometime around the 24th. And then we have 2 weeks to respond, or 14 days to respond to those comments.
All right, well, we may have to play around with the schedule then, just in case when we get it.
Yeah, we'll keep that in mind.
All right.
And then the last thing we had, so as part of our team and SMMA's team, there's a number of consultants that we bring, third-party firms. One of those consultants is a cost estimator. These folks are dedicated to reviewing the building, taking off the quantities and pricing the design documents at whatever stage we're at. Left Field had submitted a company called PMC, who are one of the top estimators around who work on a lot of the school buildings, and SMMA had also submitted that design firm, or that estimating firm. So we're proposing to change ours. Obviously, we can't have the same estimators as the designer. AM Fogarty, again, are another top estimating firm in the state, have done significant school projects. So we're asking for permission to change our cost estimating firm from PMC to AM Fogarty. We've worked with Fogarty on a number of projects before. We're very familiar with them. I included some company information. Pete Timothy, who is the owner of the company, his resume, and also about 30 or 40 schools that they've worked on over the last few years. So they are very qualified in estimating, in particular, school construction. So we would ask for permission to change consultants.
Is there any difference in the budget, in the amount?
No, it's included in our fee, so it's a no cost change.
Any discussion? Do you need a motion?
We do, Joe,
Yeah.
please.
I move that we allow Left Field to change consultants from PMC to AM Fogarty for the cost estimating.
Yep, I'll second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Jason?
Yep.
Jim?
Yes.
Phil?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Chip?
Yes.
Janine?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
This requires a
I just
letter
have a-
from the town as well.
Right, so I'll get that out tomorrow.
I just have a question with regards to independent estimating in terms of what's in the attachments that we got for the, there's the, construction cost and overall project cost, and the lump sum numbers. But is there something in the details that we'll see those estimates? And the only reason I ask that, I mean, I know they're, I know what they represent in terms of like 60,000 foot review. We're not like, we're way up high at this point, but like in terms of escalation, in terms of what the contingencies are, in terms of what the assumptions are, given that we're talking about colored blocks, where is that sort of identified?
So that would be included. That's why we have two cost estimators moving forward. They'll both get the same set of documents to estimate going forward with the three options we have. When those estimates are finished, there'll be a reconciliation. So the two groups will trade their estimates. We'll review that, make sure that the same scope is carried, the same assumptions, the same qualifications. We'll look at what we think the escalation is, what the contingencies should be at the various levels of estimate and design that we're at. They don't always agree on everything, but at the end of the day, we should have two independent estimates reconciled to within a reasonable difference between the two.
So for the lump sum numbers that are associated with the three options right now, in the report that we're getting, is at least those kind of qualifications. I'm not expecting a detailed estimate, but just in terms of what the escalation is, what the contingencies are, what the logic is associated with those two lump numbers, will that be in the report?
I'm not sure if it'll be in this report, but it will be in reports going forward. On PDP, just the architect does the cost estimates. We don't do one. That's why we're asking to change now.
No, but the PM&C did the estimating for the architectural group, and yes, the PM&C's cost estimate will be in the PDP, and you will see all the assumptions made.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Appreciate it.
So that's all I had, Joe. Thank you.
All right. Does anybody have any other issues to be raised tonight? If not,
Joe, one quick, can Jason and Phil just stay on for 1 second with you and I?
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's just Jason and Phil, Chip and myself are going to be the working group for the public safety building. Those are the people that requested it from the last meeting.
So if we can just.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Tuesday night.